All right. Sorry, Rosie, go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, most people don't take the time to look into people that in depthly. And yeah, like Emily is, we balance each other so much. We have what's important, very similar, our same kind of what we consider our flaws or whatever, and we're able to see it in each other, which in turn helps us um, kind of give ourselves more slack, and it's insane, and I have been so grateful for all of it. It's wild, and it's it's unfortunate I don't see you more often, and like we don't live near each other, because there is just a genuine comfort whenever we talk, and when I can somehow just sense that the other person is genuinely interested in me and my feelings, and getting to know me as a deeper connection versus like the shell or whatever, I open up, as you know, very quickly, very like, just I'm like, wow, you care, let me tell you everything. So having Emily, it's the same thing. Like, we can literally have a ridiculously surface conversation, and then 2 seconds later go into, the other day I was on this walk and I realized that this trauma is actually in part of why I feel this way about, the color of my hair. like just ridiculous. And it's never, whoa, that was unexpected, or it's just like, wow, I've had a similar thought, let me explain. It has been one of the most healing things of the last 5 years, that I've been trying to make sure I'm always very open about my gratitude towards, because I feel like the more you like put that out into the universe, the more you'll find more people like that. And so far so good, which is when you were saying why you're doing this and how you have a collection of people, I have been having that same feeling really intensely like the last 2 to 3 years, especially after moving to Kentucky. Um, People in general, but specifically a lot of women. Um, I've told Emily this many times already, where like I feel like I'm collecting all of these amazing, special, loving, um, interesting women, and I don't know why like this has happened, or like why I'm so lucky. Um, but I even attempted to try putting together like a woman's community on Facebook. I'm kind of playing with the idea of figuring it out, but like I have this something telling me to like connect them all together, so no one feels alone, like, because I feel like, especially nowadays, and I'm going from my own experience, living in Kentucky by myself, and going from a relationship to completely alone, and having to build my own community so I wouldn't feel lonely or scared or whatnot. And I think it's unfortunate that are usually, when you're in this lonely state, you start going on Tinder or going on the bar or whatever, trying to find a male companion, or, a spouse of some sort. Um, and that's kind of leads you down, usually not a great place, just like a dark cycle. And if you have other women, it really helps you find more of a sincere love. Like, you can literally be yourself. You can makeup, no makeup, this is how I feel today, look, I barely wanted to get out of bed, blah blah blah, and have this kinship of like, girl, same. Like, and it's just really really special. And I've also found a lot of women who are just badasses, and like have all these really cool skills, whether it's like rock climbing, photography, or is it photography, knitting, have their own like social media platforms. I have this one friend in Miami who is such an inspiration to me. The one that I sent you the YouTube
I'm
for,
following.
she is, it's ridiculous. Like, just so inspirational, because she's so open and vulnerable. And though I can be vulnerable with people like you, where I feel like this safety, I want to take it to a next level and people like her and like you kind of help me figure that out. And I feel like they could help other people too if I kind of showcase them to each other and everything. So yeah, I kind of went on a tangent there, but
No, that's well, and that's part of the reason why like you said, that's why I'm doing this, is because for a long time, I thought, I mean, since I got sober at 17, I wanted to do public speaking, and I did do public speaking, and I like public speaking. I like being the center of attention, but
same.
I am so much more into, wow, like the amazing intricacies of individuals, like
Their story.
yes. And one of the things one of the big fallacies, and I've been talking about this lately, is, that you have to do something huge to be impactful, or you have to like you said, knitting. Guess who doesn't know how to knit? This guy.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing, like, because I've always been like, well, why do you knit? Why do you, what? Yes, I understand, some people have had what we call an easy life. And when I say that, it's only from my perspective, because they didn't struggle with the same things I did. So it's not necessarily easy, but I've always just been very attracted to and drawn to like an individual's amazingness. And I've always, like, to me, I see that almost instantly, and once again, maybe it is a little bit optimistic in this and that, but I mean, some of the people I've dealt with in my life have not come to me in the best times of their life. And yet it was pretty easy to see potential, or, like, wow, like, I understand, today's a struggle, but it might not always be like this. And so part of the reason why I wanted to reach out to you specifically is, like I was telling you, is you came in, and you came and said, hi, I'm from Miami. And that's what that's how you introduced yourself to me. And I was like, cool. I've not met machismo in a girl, but I think I got one. I don't really know. Like, all right, I feel like we were fighting, or you thought maybe I was disagreeing with you being from Miami, but I was just kind of like, hey, here's a get to know you. And you're like, yeah, I'm from Miami. And I went, cool. Okay. It was just, but then you just started telling me, you allowed yourself to, that, like we were talking about vulnerability, you allowed yourself to be imperfect on display, which is so hard. And the reason it's so hard is because, like you said, society in general, which is super crazy that we still go to that as a litmus test of how we're thinking, feeling, looking, anything, because that's terrifying. But it's not gentle. It's not for the faint-hearted. And you allowed yourself to be like, hey, okay, I'll try knots. You're like, wait, no, that was really ugly, right? And you're like, well, kind of, yeah, a little bit, not really the best. And you're like, no, so it's ugly, okay.
Yeah.
And it was just, and so the openness to be vulnerable is, and like, let people know. Like I said, I could see it was an internal struggle. It wasn't an always, hey, I'm very comfortable with this, but it was, I think I really want to be comfortable with this. And I loved that journey. I was very aware of that almost immediately. And I was just like, that is so cool. And you're like, I'm gonna try zip lining and guiding and going through trees. Let's do this. And I was like, fantastic. and then, like, we were talking about one of the things that cemented my appreciation for you and my connection was, like I said, I don't even remember what it was about, because to me that wasn't as important as the opportunity. The opportunity presented itself for you to experience yourself sticking up for yourself in a very healthy, I'm not going to be taken advantage of. I'm not going to be overlooked. I'm valid, like very self-validating. Like, listen, I'm vulnerable, but bitch, don't abuse it. And I was aware at the moment. And once again, I don't say it like, oh, I was, so magnificent. I remember being like, oh crap, this is happening. Cool. Like, oh, I just need to make sure that she doesn't shiv him. Okay, cool. Like, this is fantastic. And being able to be part of that process with you was so, and I don't know if I even ever told you that, but I mean, it was super impactful on me. And it
And
was,
you played it really cool. Like you downplayed it a lot. Like I'm very moved and shocked by everything you're saying, because you, like, I would have never guessed you had that much of a realization of any of that.
well, and that's the thing, like, that's something that I didn't want people to always know is people know I'm a lot. I'm aware I'm a lot. I'm married with kids. I get told I'm a lot. But I don't, like, I can have surface, but it's not what I like at all. And it's not what I naturally see. I usually see the vulnerable person, the vulnerable part, the brokenness. And I don't even like saying brokenness because really it's humanness, but that is, what I see. And I was, like I said, I was extremely grateful to be part of that. And once again, it was, my, I don't want to say maybe insecurity, but my worry of, well, if I tell her how much, like, because I know I said I was proud of you, blah, blah, but I didn't go into it because I didn't, oh, he's really making a big emotional deal about this. And I didn't, I was scared that here's this guy, yeah, I know him. He's kind of my trainer, but this is weird. Like, we're gonna have an emotional connection, like, with this dude, but he's married, and and I'm aware, I don't want to be the old creeper dude, and I don't want to be like, but that's how I naturally am, And so what's tough is, I was fighting myself for a long, long time. And now I don't necessarily, I know not everybody deserves the full me, and I'm aware of that. And so one of the cool things, I've been listening to Brene Brown and vulnerability, and literally that's what she works on. She does vulnerability stuff. And like, it was amazing because she puts into words the stuff I've always felt for years. And same with Simon Sinek, and then they interviewed each other, and I was like, what? My head's gonna explode. And so I was listening to that driving up from Florida just the other day, and it was just, that's when it really, just before that, that's when you popped in, because I like people, and I get along. There's a lot of people from Boone Creek that I've just got along with, that I've just like, because most people who want to do that job,
Yeah, you're a certain type.
yeah, they're just but you were different. And it's the same with Emily. And Emily, I think, had a little bit more, like, because she reached out to me and asked me, I remember, about managing and this type of managing, and I was like, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, because you're being vulnerable, so I'm going to give it to you. And I think at that point she went, ooh, okay. She was like, yes, tell me. Wait, I don't necessarily want to hear it. And that was okay, because that was her journey. And one of the things this past year I've really grown into is, for me, I view it as, if God puts the opportunity in front of me, I'm not responsible for the outcome. I'm just responsible for, if it pops in my heart and my head, do what I think, because I usually come from a place of love. And what happens. If I don't see the fruits of my help or whatever, that's not the important part. And a lot of people do it, like, doing the right thing because it's the right thing, not because I'm going to get. And so what I'm trying to be more open to is the depth and fullness, and a lot of owning me, like you saying, it's almost scary, not because Well, no, I was trying to downplay it. It is almost scary because I'm a lot of the things I really, really like. And that is not my natural go-to point of view. My natural go-to point of view is, well, I'm a blah, 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 blah. People like see me and they're like, wow, you're so positive. Because I started here at the day and you've seen me just here, but I've had to work to get there. And like my natural when I first wake up isn't, oh, I'm so happy to be me. And I just heard my own singing voice. It's beautiful. And oh wait, I'm so tall and love. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, boom, boom. Like I pick out all the things I don't like immediately before I even get out of bed. So what this last year has done for me is I recentered because so I sold my part in the gym because my identity was I was a gym owner. But that wasn't a part of me. That was me. And so what happened was, well, where was the husband or the father or the things that when I'm by myself, like I would cry because I had an amazing day, at Boone Creek. But then when I went back to the cabin, guess who was there? Just me. And where did I want to be? With my family. Yes, I liked cool people, but I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to see my kids grow up. I wanted to, help them. I wanted to, Jacob's wanting me to his first shave today. Like, I know. And so Donna knew yesterday when she told me, I almost started crying. She goes, I know this. And not everybody will honor that vulnerability of me. I know you do. And what I realize is almost everybody I've interviewed, and I don't like saying interview because I don't really have where I'm going to go. I just want to tell them how they've impacted me and you're awesome. And let them say whatever they want. And shockingly, they say all kinds of cool things. I just wanted to be more of the person I really wanted to be, but actualize it and not just be theoretical. And so, but I couldn't have done that while I was still at the gym because codependent, whatever, but I'm caring enough so that I did go in for 14 to 18 hours a day. And I was missing my kids struggling in school and Donna wanting to shank me at nighttime, but it's harder to bury the body than it is to just leave me alone and all kinds of stuff. And so when you popped into my head, I was like, and it's funny how it started because it just was, but I'm on the way down there. I'm like, oh, maybe we'll go to Miami. Oh, Miami. And I just giggle and I'm like, I miss Rose. And so then I just reach out. And so I wasn't because I love having watched you and Emily relationship blossom. I love that. And it was, and I could see why it would, like from the outside perspective, it's almost like, that's very interesting. What kind of club do they go to together? Like, that's weird. But what I like is you guys have always celebrated each other for each other as opposed to here's where I want you to fit in. It was like, and that's how I am with people. I really, a lot of times I would feel almost like a chameleon, but it's not. I'm more authentically me because I don't have to put up these weird, well, what are they going to think if I do this and this and that? And I'm just like, no, I'm going to say weird things. I'm going to do weird things. I'm going to be like, hey, you're like, how much do you think a chicken leg weighs by itself? Like, that's a weird thought, but I got it. What do you think?
I got it.
And you'd be like, I don't know, but I had sugar gliders. And then I had this introspective moment of, it needs a friend. What am I doing? And that's what I like, and it's weird because one of the things I also did is I've done probably almost 100 videos now and I do self check-ins, but I interviewed a lot of amazing people. Well, I have 19 subscribers because I've been lazy and not done anything with learning how to hashtag and promote it, right? So that's part of my leaning into of 2021 is learning how to promote this because I have this amazing opportunity. And I really, like you were saying, I'm aware in the moment of my opportunity that this is my moment. That's not always the case. But if I want to shine a light on the awesomeness that is these people, I need to do that and figure out and not settle for, oh, hold on one second, and not settle for, well, I just don't know how, because I just don't know how is not good enough. I'm trying to plug you in to see if it's going to work, because I am going to run out of battery, and I definitely don't want to run out of battery. You plugged in, cool.
Great.
So, all right. But that's like, one of the things that I think I liked about you too, like I told you, is that you were like, I don't know what we're doing on Zipline. We'll give it a try. And to struggle publicly
Mm-mm.
is vulnerability at its finest, because it's very much like, oh, I might be bad at this. Well, if I'm learning something, I'm going to be bad at this. And, that's why I was proud of you for taking this new path, and being like, sure, let's try this. I just wanted to hear about that, like how you transitioned to that, because like I said, it's something simple. When I told you that I was doing this, you immediately go, that's fantastic. Here's this person I want you to listen to. And I was like, subscribe.
Yeah.
And I listened to a couple of hers when I was driving. Because for me, I don't want to get, too caught up in, well, I'm 47 and I've taken so long to get to this point. It doesn't really matter because I'm here. So I'm like, okay, so now when it pops in my head, like I said, my head, I'm like, let's get to it. And one of the things I love, that first one I listened to that she was talking about, was paraphrasing, but it's almost like nothing is screwed. We can start the day over. We can just calm down, like be where we are, and it's okay. Immediately, like everything's okay right now. And it was just the calmingness was, oh yeah, oh man, yeah. And I went, well played, and like I said, so it was just, like I said, there's so many amazing people, and your snippet or story, or however you want to describe it, touched me in such a crazy awesome way that I understood when people said, if you don't get to be around them, and you're still like, when you see them or talk to them or think about them, you're still like, yeah, it's my dude. Like we're good. That's that trust. And that trust is, once again, I wanted to just make sure you knew how much I valued it, and that I was very, very aware of how vulnerable you were at that time, even though you were experiencing yourself being strong.
Yeah.
But it was super amazing. I loved it. And it was cool, I think, too, because there were enough girls in there that women need to see that. Women need to see, and it's okay that it's not perfect, or it's okay if it's not, if it's messy, because life is messy. And a lot of times I know that whole perfectionism thing is a way to avoid vulnerability. And so I just love that you're so open to life now, because I know that necessarily wasn't always your go-to. And maybe your mom might have had more concrete ideas of what she wants you to do. I remember that conversation too. I was like, oh, Latinas, man. Woo, that's something. I am not fully familiar, but I'll tell you what, the little information I have, I'm like, okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't have as much stress in some ways. This is fine.
Yeah. It's interesting, like that whole part of my life, like when we met, I got that job on Craigslist, and it was actually just Emily and I. We're the two that came from Craigslist. And I'd moved to Kentucky looking for a change, and I just felt this like need to really go for it. The easy thing would have been to move to Kentucky and go straight into like a hotel job, because that's what I was doing when I was back in Miami or whatnot, or just find something more traditional in general. But like, I wanted the experience that I had built up in my head about what was possible, and I needed to find my version of it that was possible. And at the time, I was dating someone who, it's just wild to think, like 4.5 years and like 20 minutes with you, and you saw things about me that this person still has no idea about. Like, just it's a different vibe. And when I told him that I was applying for it and like going to the interview, it was so like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's crazy. What, sure you are. And I was like, oh, well, now I have to. Like, no. And I'm so grateful because it has been life changing. And like, I'm not there full time anymore. I can go months without being there, but just knowing that I have it and what I've accomplished while there and stuff like that, where I've kind of had to like put on my big girl pants and get out of my comfort zone. And, probably part of why I came off the way I did when I first introduced myself was because I was in the middle of this struggle of figuring out my balance of, I don't know, like cultural difference and perspective. And perspective has been like the theme of my life for like the last 5 years. Like, just realizing how different it is for everyone. It's self perspective, and accepting that. And sometimes it's really cool and like realizing the differences. And sometimes it's like a punch in the gut of like, whoa, that's not at all the way I saw that. And if I were you, I'd hate me, like, it's hard to swallow a lot. Um, but yeah, I was trying to figure that out. And it was like a perfect timing to meet you at that point, because I needed a win. I needed someone who I could be open with and understood, and didn't think I was too much. Because yeah, I've learned to start to self promote that way, because I am a lot. um, but I'm thankfully at a point where I realize that my a lot is a freaking gift, and you're welcome. Because I love hard and I love truly, and that's who I want to be. And I don't want to be afraid of it anymore. I don't want to, well, that's not going to look really cool, or they're going to think I'm thirsty or whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, I am who I am. My intention, like you said, is always from a good place and comes from love. And I've realized that even if sometimes I've had, some heartache or just not so great moments because of how vulnerable I was, or because I put it all out there, more times than none, it's been a good outcome and a more fulfilling outcome. And when you are truly yourself and do it your way, even if you didn't get exactly what you wanted, it's still somehow more fulfilling, because you knew you were true to yourself and you knew you did it in a way that was scary, but still more true to you. And I know the combination has been a pretty great turn of thought for me the last few years. And yeah, you're right. Like, my friendship with Emily has really, really helped that. She's helped me I don't know, just overcome a lot of those fears about being vulnerable. It's been pretty great.
So how did you decide, how did it transpire to go to the farm?
Um, I fully believe that was a gift from the universe. As I mentioned, I'd been serving at the castle for 3.5 years, and the majority of that was heaven on earth. Like, I genuinely would go into work so excited to be there, and it was good money, but it was good people, and I felt like I was accepted again. Like, that's always such a big deal for me. And this last year, I didn't feel that way so much anymore. Um, I'm just like you were talking about with the gym, like I really, really put myself into something, you know, and that's part of it. That's part of my too much. Is if I care, then I really freaking care. And if I don't feel fully appreciated or understood, um, I start losing my will. Like, why am I here? Like, yeah, it's good money, but I can't just do something for that. I really wish I could. I am so envious of people who could like sell used cars like lemons and crap and like not give a damn and all about the money. Hey, that's amazing. Never been me. I It's something that even my moms would try to like talk me out of, but like it's part of me being true to myself. And I kept trying to make excuses because of the safety net of being somewhere you feel comfortable and kind of overlooks all the faults, you know, that you like to ignore and everything. But finally, once I realized that I no longer liked myself when I was there, and I was literally dragging my feet anytime I knew I had to be there, and I was starting to associate bad feelings with people who worked there who I actually loved, but it just happened to be just this bubble I'd created. um I gave my notice, and I'd gotten the job originally by a good friend who I worked with at another job. She was working closely with one of the owners and recommended me, and he and I have become pretty cool. I look up to him a lot. It's kind of like you guys are like on the same level of like, these are the kind of people that I aspire to be like, you know. And
Thank you.
kind of well, it's true. So I reached out to him before I sent the official email, just out of respect. And I was just like, you know, I don't want you to read the email and be like, whoa, where did this come from? So I just wanted to thank you, just something I need to do for myself, yada yada yada. And he was amazing, like called me almost right away, and I couldn't believe it. This is a very busy man, you know, like I was like, wow, you care. And we spoke for a while, and then maybe a week or two later, he reached out and he was like, hey, have you found anything? I was like, yeah, I mean, I found some random Whole Foods job just to kind of fill the void and try something new out. But what's up? He was like, well, I have a position that I think you might be interested in. And he explains, you know, the wild health version part of it, which is the houses that are on property that the doctors work out of. And then he explained the farm itself, the more commercial part of it, but also the dream of using food and nature and mindfulness to heal people. And I was just like,
You're like, dude.
it, Jeff, that is, this job opportunity is the closest to um not meditation to making something happen, I can't think of the word right now, that I have ever experienced in my life. Or like will, because I really feel like because I took the leap and left my safety net, I was rewarded. Manifest, thank you. I manifested this ridiculous dream, because like because of Boone, I was inspired to go back to school for psychology. After going to the ACCT conference and realizing that 8 out of 10 of the workshops were counselor based or like therapy based, I was like, are my worlds colliding? I could do it. I could do both. And then the more I got into that, the more I felt this urge to find a more naturopath version of psychology, you know. And you know, I haven't pushed myself to go to psychiatry just because of my own um, not so great self-talk about math and such. But that would be the dream, just because I'm sick of doctors and psychiatrists and everybody just giving out happy pills, like they don't change people's lives in a negative way as well as a positive way.
Mhm.
It's just scary to me. So so you're saying like I get to have this job that literally faces my other job, where I get to see the people I love in a different light. I get to help the community learn how to take better care of themselves in a natural way and like get paid for it and work with animals. Yes, please. I didn't even talk about pay, which is very unbusiness of me. For like the first 3 meetings, I was just like, whatever. Yeah, it was pure manifestation, but I've been in kind of shock since he talked to me about it. And as you got to visit it now, like the feeling of being there is just really great. It's very similar to Boone. Boone has more of a mystical because of the forest or whatever vibe. But the farm also has just that like I'm happy to be here kind of feeling that I love so much.
Well, and it's what I like. It's almost my goal is to leave a person, place, or situation better than when I arrived. That's my ultimate goal, the best I can. So when somebody leaves like an interaction with me, I love when people are like, oh, you should be a comedian or whatever. Like, man, my face hurts from laughing. Like, that's amazing. But when you go to a place that has animals, or you go to a place that utilizes its resources to help people in numerous different ways, and then part of you doing that job is you get to go to other places, like you were saying, other farms where they help autistic kids, and you're just like, holy, how much impact can I have? This is awesome. And to me, that's the one common thread that everybody who I've been impacted by, I think. Because I mean, I've met people who were rich, I've met people who were whatever, like a lot of different things that are cool. But most of the people who are really cool to me don't view them themselves as cool. You know what I mean? And the humility of it's bigger than me. There's bigger than me, and I want to help that. That was part of the reason why, you know, Emily is a little bit more hippie-ish than my natural. But what I liked is, her just easiness. Being around Emily is easy. And that is hard to find sometimes because you're just like, dude, if I am stressed and I'm around Em, I'm doing something wrong. Like a lot of things wrong, probably. Like, come on. And so, like, that's kind of what I love. That's what, going to the farm was. It was in the opportunities with my limited information. I'm sitting there going, and what I liked about Monica too is even though she was like, she even said, I stay in my lane. I'm the horse person. I know horses. But she said, one of the cool ideas is, maybe utilize the stuff that we just cut with, with the lawnmower. Maybe we can figure out a way to do something, grow something there. And I went, dude, that's fantastic. And it's that's when people are in a position to be successful, because like you said, it's the manifestation of your true self. And what is cool is going back to when I watched you work on manifesting your true self, not in theory, but in practice. That's what I've always been aware of for most points at the time, which is crazy, because you're like, dude, this is probably happening right here. So that's part of the reason why, like, I went to did psychology stuff, so I could have some sort of terminology to understand what I was seeing. And I'm aware that not everybody views things that way, and that's okay. It's just like you said.
It took me a while to realize that, but yeah, like it comes so natural to you that you're like, wait, aren't you watching this? like that you don't see what he's unfolding in his head right now? It's pretty great.
Yes, and then it took me a minute, like you said, how'd you word it? Like, there is a population, or this is a real thing that, people do that in different ways that might not be my manifestation. And I'm okay with that. And what I like is you are okay with that. You're all, and I loved what you said about getting these women together. And, you know, part of the reason why I've always supported girls, women in general, was when I was in treatment, a couple times we'd always have guys group and girls group separate, because obviously you're talking about traumatic things and all kinds of stuff. But sometimes I was in there long enough. I had girls at my house long enough that would open up, thank God, to me and stuff, and tell me stuff that really gave me a different way to look at life, and especially look at girls and look at women in general and women's struggles. And like something simple as I pee usually sitting down so that the seat's always down, because when I was in treatment and I didn't, I had a talking to from like 6 women who were yelling at me about, you don't even care about women. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, I will put the seat down. Like, but once again, it's experiencing the manifestation of the true self. It's the vulnerability that takes is scary, because it's all new. And because it's like, that's why I like CrossFit, and that's why I like 1% better. Just be better than you were yesterday. Not better than Rosie, not better than Emily, not better than Burgess, or can I be better than myself than I was yesterday? Well, okay, let's I can do 1%. I really can. And for the last year, pretty much every single day, I've gotten at least 1% better, which is weird because, once again, math. I know I took one social stats class, but it's at some point my brain goes, well, isn't it going to get to 100? Like, it's been over 100 days. How do I get up? But that's, our limited perception of us is skewed. It really is. It's like we think we're this because of society, because of what we've been told or what we've experienced or what we've done, as opposed to, what? Like something as simple as, because you appreciated the opportunity you got and you connected with that owner, you said, you know what? It's respectful and it's the right thing to do to not sideswipe him and let him know. Well, that impacted him enough to be like, man, I think I want to be part of that person. I want that person to be part of this. Do you know what I mean? And so those are the things that, it's a byproduct. You couldn't control that if you wanted to. Well, I mean, you probably wanted to, but you could, you know what you mean? You would have limited yourself. The outcome wouldn't have been nearly as good. Like you said, it's scary because it's completely unknown. Tomorrow's not promised. Happiness is not, it's a byproduct of right living. It's not a goal. I want to be happy.
What's weird though is I've been thinking about it a lot lately. But growing up, every time, such a sad little kid, every time someone would ask me, like a counselor, a teacher, or whatever, like, what do you want to be when you grow up, or what do you want out of life? Literally, my answer for the majority of my life was, I just want to be happy. Like, I had nothing else. I didn't have much of a plan, or like, where do I see I just want to be happy. I don't know what that looks like or how you get there, but that's it. Like, and now I get, now that I'm older and have all these, kind of revelations and whatnot, that like, you need to have a little more of a direct idea to get to the happiness or whatnot. And
Yes.
that's why it's so important to actually envision yourself living this happy life. What does that look like? Because if you don't know, you can't get there. Like, yeah.
And I love that. And that's one of the things, like, this guy I had spoken to, he's the one that got me starting to do these. And he said, you just need to start putting out content. I went, okay. And some of these early videos, I'm like, I'm not even sure why I'm still doing this, but I'm checking in. I'm going to talk to myself, I guess. Like, and then all of a sudden I went, wait a minute, this is an opportunity, and approach it like that. Like, I'm going to approach it as if I have 10,000 followers as opposed to, 19 subscribers, because if one person, if I can make a positive impact on one person, whether I get to know it or not, that's huge. That's, you know, and one of the things I had completely lost track of, because I was, like you said, I was so far down the rabbit hole of trying to get the gym and everybody at the gym taken care of, that the people I want to impact positively are my littles. Like that's my legacy, you know, and part of like what I love about myself is you allowing yourself to be vulnerable around me. It's, you know, it's kind of strange because, you know, there's always that little dance of, hey, am I going to get to know you? Oh, I don't know. Hey, are you really serious? Because you seem like you're being honest, but I don't know if you're honest. And I don't like that. I don't do that dance. And one of the things I like is you don't really do that dance. I mean, you kind of did that dance because you were like, we're just going around in circles saying where we're from, who we are. And you were like, I'm from Miami. Like,
Well, I've
listen,
also
it's
tried.
Henny in the house.
I've also been struggling with because my biggest thing that I'm trying to be more conscious of and work on is my self-perception and my self-talk. Because, and it's funny because somebody pointed out to me when I was 17 years old and I didn't fully get it. It was a counselor that took some time with me, and she kind of like called all of us out on like our thing, and I was like, what's she gonna say about me? You know, I'm great. And then she was just like, you don't think you're that great. I'm like, damn, I guess I don't. Like, and I didn't fully understand what that meant, or like how to change it or anything like that, and I'm still figuring it out. But I gotta remember where I'm going with this. But yeah, to when we met, I was trying to figure out how to be myself and connect with somebody who I'm like, immediately when you walk into the door, I was like, that's my kind of guy. Like, he looks so cool. And I'm very similar to you in the sense of like, I want to be so open and loving and all those things, but I get so nervous that it's going to come off immature, or it's going to come off inappropriate, you know, or it's
My big one is needy,
needy.
because I am. I'm needy
Yeah.
because I need to be. I'm like, I need to know what's going on with you. I need to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Some people are like, no.
But it's like, it's getting to that happy place where you realize that's not a bad thing if you're open to it, and if you're not, that's cool, you know. I get
It's
that we all have to have our boundaries, and
yeah.
if you're not feeling this, hey, you know, because I know at this point that if you are feeling it and you let me be my true vulnerable loving self, it's only great. You know, the people who do let me do it love me and I love them, and there's a natural comfortable back and forth and true trust that is bigger and more important than anything else, you know, than me feeling embarrassed for all of 5 seconds with somebody who didn't accept it, you know, because the people who do, man, they make it completely worth it. So yeah, when you and I met, I was definitely trying to like figure out who I was in Kentucky and like how to come off the way that I wanted to, because I felt like my perception wasn't working. Like, what I thought was like a lovey, upbeat, like welcoming person was coming off as like kind of a dick. And I was like, wait, no, how is this happening? Like, this isn't my intention. So I was trying to find that assertive and confident, but I'm cool. Like, so that came off, I guess, as a machismo, which I get that. I can see how that could have come out that way.
But I liked it because it wasn't like a real. It was just real. It was. I don't know. Once again, it was cool, and I went, oh, I like her. I think I'm gonna like her a lot. Okay. Um, but you know, and once again, like I said, I'm like a puppy because I want to like I just do because life is short and I've seen some stuff and I've done some stuff that I'm like, you know, that's not good. Like they wouldn't even make an R rating on that. They wouldn't, that's not good. I don't want to be that person. And so to, like you said, to be that comfort level is, and what I think too, like you said, just popped in my head was part of when it changed too is when you finally connected with people who connect with you. And instead of, well, what are Emily and I gonna really have in common? Okay, we're girls, like I guess, like let's okay, we're the estrogen of this group. I guess we need to, but it was like I remember when she was struggling with the managing thing and this and that, and how gentle and like receptive and just like bounce ideas off me. I'll tell you, like, what, like, you are a badass. If you want to, you're going to be great. If you don't, you're going to be great. Like, it was just cool. And I think that was a huge thing for your relationship because she allowed you to be who you really wanted to be. And you were like, finally, this is awesome. Let's go. And it was probably helpful too, like I said, because you then were also, like, does a dude appreciate me as much as I should be appreciated? Does he like me as much as I need to be liked? Like, and once again, I'm pretty positive I didn't ever say much because I was like, you're on a great journey. You're fine. You're gonna be fine. Well, um, sometimes me showing up is all of me. I want to remember that to be part of your life. A lot of times, I have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And really, I should have a mouth and maybe 4 ears because I'm like, maybe, because a lot of times I would listen to respond instead of just listening to understand. And one of the things like I did this morning, I was crabby pants with Donna, and I said, so here's why I was crabby. And this, what I thought is the reason why I was crabby. And then she said, well, literally, you came in. And I said, I just felt kind of weird. She goes, well, I was watching something, but you came in. So I politely stopped watching it and paid attention to you. And in my head, I instantly went, oh, yeah, but that was rude of me to come in and just be like, hey, I need your attention. And it needs to be right now. And so I so appreciated like her vulnerability and just that, like reaching out, like listening to me to understand. She wasn't listening to me to be like, well, no, I was fine. You were, and it was cool because then it made it so much easier for me to then say, oh man, listening to what she's saying. Yeah, that was rude. Oh, and immediately, guess what? I was like, no longer crabby. And I was like, oh, this is fair. And not only did I not feel crabby, it was cool to experience myself have the type of relationship I wanted. You know what I mean? And so, but once again, I didn't start that conversation to have the type of relationship I wanted. I started the conversation because I didn't want to start the conversation. And I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. But instead, I'm like, I also don't want to be a butthole all day and be like, maybe she'll figure out what she did that made me sad. Yeah. And even though it was me, I went, damn it. Okay. Yeah. And so I think what I like is you putting words to that journey is cool. And I like that, being able to relate with that and being able to be in that with you at that time was super, super cool. And so even though I haven't seen you in a while, and I was disappointed to say the least, but it's still weird, but I care enough about you to appreciate the fact that I knew you did not want to not see me.
Yeah.
And so it was because we had a conversation. I had a conversation with Donna and the kids and stuff, and Jacob's a little bit more nervous because when we went to Florida, they were still in school every day. So everybody's like, "How was your vacation?" Like, well, Donna was working every day. The kids were in school every day. I was just happy because my parents were no longer had COVID and they were getting healthier. So I was grateful I got to see them. And then we swam every day, even though it was cold and almost nobody else was doing it because they're not from Michigan. So I was like,
you snowbirds.
Correct. And so it was just for you to say, yeah, I'm gonna do the respectful thing in that. Like literally, I read sass in your text because you're like, taking 3 tests. I'm waiting for the results. I guess I don't know. It wasn't even. It was just a roommate.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's fantastic. So, um, because once again, that's one of those things like trying to figure out a way, even though it's probably not right, to make it work. You're like, maybe if I stand on my head, maybe if we're just 12 feet, not 6 feet, maybe I can. I just appreciated it. And, I want you to know that I think of you a lot of times. And that's why, like, sometimes I'll, like I told you a long time ago, I'll randomly send you random messages. Sometimes they'll just be emojis. Definitely be like, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. And, if random Spanish things come on, I like, that's why I was like, how do you spell Hefe? Because Jacob's taking Spanish. I'm like, look it up. Tell me how to spell Hefe. And I was like, he goes, I think it's just J. And I go, she's Latina. I need to know the real spelling. I will get the spelling. She will not take my slack.
To an extent, because honestly, I would. And when it comes to Spanish, because it's an interesting, living in Kentucky, I definitely feel obviously more uh eccentric and different or whatever. But
Exotic.
in Miami, I mean, I'm practically white, like I grew up on Nickelodeon, and I'm a geek, and not I avoided Spanish for a long time. Like speaking it, I had no choice, and I wanted to because of my family, but like actually learning how to write it and spell it well and everything. I actually am taking Spanish now in college because I'm like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing. Like I don't know the correct grammar of writing in Spanish or whatnot. So, and I am a little more lax on that because I just think it's cute when people try. Like it's like, oh, hefe, good job. I'll take it.
Well, thank you. See, one of the things, like, culturally, for you to take a Spanish class in college is an acknowledgement of, like, yeah, I'm Latina and I'm taking a Spanish class. Like, mm, but what I love about that is that says so much about really who you want to be, and that to get to where you want to be, there's just certain things that have to happen. And it's not a judgment. It's not like I think before you would judge yourself, like, oh, why am I having, and now you're just like,
But yeah,
what I have to do. Like,
yeah.
dude, listen, both my kids, I can barely help either of them with homework at all, and that's with Google. So I'm like, what do I know? And I'm like, I have a college degree. I have several. I should know things.
Well, it's been interesting, like going back to like when you and I met and everything. It was like right after I moved to Kentucky. It's kind of been like not necessarily my renaissance, but nearly like um, I had to be vulnerable and I had to be confident in my journey and who I am because being an adult student or whatever, which is so at this point I roll my eyes at the fact that I even look at it that way because it is a cultural and like society based bullshit. I didn't go to school at 17 when I graduated. I didn't even go at 19 or 20. I attempted here and there, but it just wasn't time for me. One, I don't think I was in a headspace to appreciate it, so I wouldn't have done very well. And two, I came from a lower income for the most part situation. My mom did an amazing job, but she was a single mother. 3 kids, and first I'm first generation, so she has a lot of issues with like having knowing English better, and obviously in Miami she had better opportunity and everything, but either way it was tough. So I didn't gravitate to going straight to school because I didn't think it was realistic for me at the time. now obviously I look at it a little bit differently in certain aspects. I still think it was the right choice for me because I don't think I'd be in Kentucky right now. And as weird as my life is, I absolutely love it. Like I'm all about the story, and meeting people like you and Emily and so many others, like I think it's worth that I took an unconventional road, and I'm now 31 and in like my third year of college and figuring it all out. And I don't know, I have a confidence now that I didn't have in my early 20s or my late teens, and a self understanding that, I mean, still growing every day, but um it just wouldn't have been the same. And I'll take it. Sometimes it's easy to beat yourself up of like, man, why didn't I push myself more then or whatever? I didn't have it then, and that's fine. It is what it is. I got it now, and it's fun. I enjoy the un traditional aspect of my life. The fact that I'm 31, living in my apartment by myself for the first time in my whole life, knowing what that's like to be on my own, and working at a farm, and just like weird stuff, being a part-time zipline guide. Like, I'm all about it. Let's be weird. I,
I think that's a perfect place to stop because there's nothing I'm going to add to that. Don't get off yet though. But
Okay.
I do really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me.
Oh,
And
me. Thanks for inviting me to do it. I was so honored. I was like, I'm crazy nervous about it, but let's do it. Like you said, it's an opportunity, and I didn't want to say no to it, but it was really scary.
well, thank you. And then, well, that's why I said, I tried to say, we'll just talk about whatever you want. And basically, I start by gushing over you. So it's most people tend to be a little more calm because they're like, okay, that's fine.